Hello, my name's Ali. I've got a little company called Guiding Angels. We're a group of like-minded friends who have joined together to advertise together. We've all signed a code of conduct, which means that the many readers that we have, we will not be predicting serious health matters or worse, because I feel that there should be a regulation basically on people giving readings, okay, or giving negative readings. We believe that there should be kind of some sort of restriction there on that. So that's why I started the Guiding Angels way back in 2008. We've got a little shop in Herne Bay called the Guiding Angels Shop. It's 84 Mortimer Street in Herne Bay, CT6 5PS, and we're open Monday through to Saturday, 10 till 5, okay? If anybody wants to walk in and have a reading, they're from £10 up to £30. So we're there for a cup of tea if you want to come in for a cup of tea. We do free 3-card readings as well, so if anybody is passing by and they would like a little reading, sometimes that's all you need. You know, you're welcome to do that. If you're feeling lonely, we like to kind of help you know, people out, so maybe make them smile, you know, we can do that. So yeah, there's always somebody in the shop. There's usually 2 readers. So difference of the readings is mediumship, which is the contact with spirit, spirit relatives, or there is future predictions, okay, and they're the 2 main ones. Some of the readers do a little bit of both, so you know, but everybody does different things, okay. So that's kind of the shop side of things. The website with all the agency members on there, you can have a look at the phone numbers. They're available, they're freelance, though they're available for anything that you've got going on, any fates or psychic fairs, that sort of thing. It's guidingangels.co.uk. Okay, so you can pop in there. So anyway, today I thought I'd do some little videos. I don't think this one will be little, but I'm going to do some smaller ones as well, on teaching, okay, teaching the tarot. So I thought what I'd do is go through a few things. I'm going to be going through what my opinion is regarding other decks as well, okay? So I wanted to kind of look at that too, okay? So I'm going to explain that tarot cards are harmless unless they're in the wrong hands. So if you've got somebody who hasn't got good ethics and they pick up a pack of tarot cards, they could say anything, they could say whatever they wanted, and this is why I believe that there should be the rules and regulations, okay, out there. But tarot cards are just a tool that you use to link in with your spirit guides, and your you know, your loved ones can sometimes help out as well. My dad is one of my guides. He passed away a good few years ago now, and he is one of my main guides. I'm blessed because he's got a really good sense of humour and keeps me grounded, and kicks me up the bum when I need to be. So he's great. But you can have a good rapport with any of your spirit guides, and if you know, you ever wanted to kind of learn more and develop your own psychic development, then please contact me, you know, on the comments or, you know, email, okay. So so a pack of tarot cards, let's get down to it. A pack of tarot cards is 78 cards that have pictures on each card and have groups of them that may tell a story. So you have 22 cards, which are the major arcana. You have 56 cards, which is the minor arcana. The major arcana are the major events in your life, so they're the big events, okay? Things like moving home for the first time, getting married, having a child, changing your career, you know, things like that, the big stuff. And you've got the minor arcana, which is all the minor events in your life, the minor things. And those minor arcana things, they blend in with the major arcana to give you kind of more information. Does that make sense? So you could say, right, you know, the Empress, that's linked with either motherhood, it could be linked with something coming to fruition. You would know then if there's a lot of pentacles around it, pentacles is linked with money, then it's not about a pregnancy as such, it's more about birth of a business, okay, coming into money and things, you know, going into, you know, better times. Okay, so you can see where the minor arcana and the major arcana are very good to use together. Although I know some lovely readers who do just the major arcana, and then they use their mediumship and their clairvoyance to add in other information as well, which you can do. There's two main types of readers, okay? There's readers that know each card, know the tarot cards, and then they pick up on other information as well. And then you have the clairvoyant readers who each card means something different, maybe, depending on who they've got in front of them. So, you know, they may see different things. Does that make sense? By different, so it's all to do with their kind of intuition each time. So they're the two main types of readers. So say if you're learning the tarot, you come to a workshop and the information just isn't sitting right, it's not staying put, okay, then you may find that you need to do it intuitively. Does that make sense? So get a deck of cards that you can really be creative with your knowledge and what you're learning, okay? So major arcana, okay, we'll start with major arcana. Minor arcana. We'll start with minor arcana. So in the minor arcana section, let me just get the cards ready. Okay, you have 4 sections, okay? I don't know if you can see this, okay? 4 sections. So you have cups, which is emotions, okay? It's linked with the element of water. In other decks, you might find their chalices, okay? There's different names for them, okay? You have pentacles, which is finances, okay? Finances, money, that sort of thing, anything to do with earthly stuff, and that's the earth element. Then you have the fire signs, fire elements, okay, so that's to do with desire, things that you're desiring. And then you have the swords, which is your thought patterns, okay, and things that you're thinking, okay. So as you can see, these two on their own don't really mean a hell of a lot, just what I mean, because if you've got an idea, you have to have an idea about something, so in which case you need either the pentacles or the cups. Does that make sense? And this is why these need to blend together, okay? So so they are ace to 10. Does that make sense in there? So ace to 10, and each one of them has a different picture on. So if you're going to be serious about learning the tarot, you need to pick a deck that basically is talking to you, okay? And you need them to have a picture on every card. So it's not very good having ace to like a cup, and then on the next card it's 2 cups, the next card is 3 cups, the next card is 4 cups. That's not great. Does that make sense? So you know, you're better off having ones that have got pictures. Now I highly recommend for beginners the Cosmic Deck, okay, the Cosmic Deck by Norbert Losche. These are really good, okay, for picking up on things, and when I do workshops and things, I find that, you know, everybody comes with their own deck of cards and they're learning their own deck of cards, and that's great. But we always have a Bible deck as well. So one deck that we all can learn as well, okay? And that is because when we're doing kind of readings together, you know, we can then pick on with just one deck. And the reason for this particular deck being so good, okay, is because you've got the ace to the 10, Okay, then, a bit like a pack of playing cards, you've then got some court cards, okay? You've got the princess or the page, okay, depending on your deck. You've got the prince or the knight, okay? You've got the queen and the king, okay? Now, I'm going to show you why these are better, does that make sense? And easier to learn in the beginning, okay? So, I don't know if you guys know, so the air signs in astrology are Libra, they are Gemini, and they are Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is sometimes mixed up as being a water sign because it's the water carrier. People assume it's water, but it's not. It's air sign. Okay, so now you in your deck of cards, when you pick your deck of cards, you've got to try and find out which one is your Aquarius, which one's your Gemini, which one is your Libra. Okay, and the same with cups, which one is your Cancerian, which one is your Pisces, and which one is your Scorpio. And as you go along in all the decks, in all the suits. So that's sometimes quite hard. So I feel that these have got it right, because if you have a look, you can see the symbol is there, okay? That's the Libra symbol, okay? I'm going to go through and explain everything. That's your Gemini there, okay? Can you see that? That's the Gemini symbol. And see if you can see the Aquarius one in there. Okay, and if you are unsure, it's there. Okay, so that's the Aquarius. Okay, so you can see they've already done it for you, which is just easier. Okay, it's very much easier. Okay, so I'm going to go through those all in a mo. So it's Ace to 10, and then it's the 4 court cards. Okay, so I'm going to cut this down into bite-sized bits. Okay. Right, so we're going to start with the cups, okay? So I'm going to start with the Ace to the 10, all right, and go through. Now, this is what I believe they are, okay? So I've got lipstick on my teeth. So what you need is to maybe, I feel that go with your own feelings, okay? As long as you kind of stick with kind of the cups being an emotional, so anything to do with emotions, the pentacles anything to do with money and finances, the wands anything to do with your fire, desire, and your swords anything to do with your thought pattern. In amongst those Ace to 10, it's up to you, basically. And as long as, you know, if you're going to learn them a set way, does that make sense? Like you know what the Ace of Cups is, you know what the Two of Cups is, you know what the Three of Cups is, rather than intuitively, then you know it's good to have that in your mind and to keep saying the same thing each time you bring out that card. Therefore, your spirit guides will then keep coming up with that every time they want you to say a certain thing or to predict a certain thing, they will bring up that card for you. Now, how they do that, I have no idea, okay? I'm still in awe every time I do a reading, and every time this comes up, I am gobsmacked. I just think it's amazing. So, you know, but they do, and it is extremely accurate. So, yeah, I very much vouch for my guides and what they give. Okay, so Ace. Ace of Cups is the beginning, and all the aces are easy to learn, okay, because the ace is the beginning of that particular sign, okay, so that particular suit. So Ace of Cups is to do with emotions, so the Ace of Cups is overflowing of emotions, overflowing of feelings, overflowing of, you know, feeling either drained or feeling as if, you know, you're overflowing with happiness. Now, the other thing I want to mention, sorry to keep jumping back and forth, but this is my first video on YouTube. It's so exciting. I've done others, but not live like this, so it's quite scary. So, I personally don't do reverse readings. I think that they can be very, very negative, okay? And to me, I don't think it makes sense. I'm going to not use these cards to shuffle. I use these cards, okay? So imagine that you're shuffling the cards. You're doing this, you're shuffling the cards, okay? Am I turning any card over? Am I changing them in any way? So when somebody else, you know, say somebody has a reading and then somebody else has a reading, then somebody else has a reading, and maybe you've got a few clients, if they've dropped the cards or they're then giving the deck to you, how on earth can you get a negative reading just by a card being laid out that way or being a card laid out that way? Just what I mean, it just is too, to me, it's too haphazard. And I believe that once you've got a layout in front of you and you've got all of your cards in front of you, you're seeing it and you're thinking, do you know what? It just feels negative or it feels positive. Now, I don't do really negative readings anyway, because I think with every negative, there's positive outcomes as well. So I would say go with your intuition. Okay, every card has a feeling of a negative and a positive, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily reversed. Okay, all right. So the ace is overflowing of emotions. Okay, overflowing of emotions. So the two. So imagine that each deck, each of the ace to tens, they have to pick up on every emotional situation that could possibly come up, anything. So that doesn't have to be linked with love life. It could be linked with friendships, family, that sort of thing. So I know this looks romantic, but we have to kind of put it into the context of it might be, you know, it might mean about family. Does that make sense? It might be me about friendships. So this is meeting somebody of importance, meeting somebody who is going to, you know, flow into your life or be, you know, a big part of it in some way. Sometimes it can mean that you are kind of craving this. Does that make sense? That you're ready to meet somebody, okay, in your life, that you need this. So the ace is the overflowing of emotions. The two is the meeting of somebody, okay, the meeting. So then you've got, oh, I've gone one over. Ah, there we are. So the three of cups is a celebration of love or intensity within a love life situation, okay? So this can be something that is happy, something that is exciting. It can be a get together, okay, that sort of thing, okay? But it's the intensity. Now, it's quite theatrical feeling, okay? So later on when we do when we get to the kind of the 9 and the 10, you'll see what I mean, okay? So I want you to just remember that, okay? They're not necessarily looking at each other. Does that make sense? They're in a showy pose, okay? So the 3 of cups is maybe you've met somebody but you don't quite know each other properly, but it's very intense, you know, and it's kind of like love lust, if you like. It's intense, okay? That would be the 3 of cups, okay? So the 4 is when you're having that doubt. Yeah, but I've seen them, you know, they're texting somebody late at night, or they're doing this or they're doing that, and I don't know what they're about. So you can see they're doing my head in, because I don't know them, or I thought I knew them, but I don't fully. So that's my doubt card, you can see there. Then what do you do when you're in doubt, when you're not sure about somebody? You pull away, you isolate yourself, you kind of go into your own kind of little cave here, you can see. And if you notice, all the cups look as if they're down. And there's just a feeling here of, I've lost hope, okay? I'm not sure about them. Okay, so then we go into the 6. The 6 of cups is where one person is putting more effort in than the other. So if you have a look, it doesn't ignore the fact that that's a man, that's a female, because it could be the other way round. But it's when one person is putting more effort in than the other. And imagine that as a friendship, that would be the same. Does that make sense? Imagine that as love life, yeah. Imagine that as family. one person putting more effort in than the other would connect with each scenario, okay? It would connect, okay? So that leads you to, I've got to make some decisions. I've got to decide what I'm going to do next, okay? I've got to make some choices. And if you have a look in all the cups, they've got, you know, things in them, decisions and choices. They're feeling a bit tormented. Does that make sense? By having to make decisions and choices. Sometimes we don't want to, but we're being forced to, okay? Now, I had these cards for about 10 years, and then one of the pupils at one of the workshops actually pointed out to me, you have the cards you don't see in the background, that this card is there. Do you see what I mean? The image of that is there. Do you see what I mean? So it's like I'm being tormented by the fact that it's not balanced. Does that make sense? That the relationship's not balanced. So now I need to make a decision about it. Okay, am I going to put up with it, or do I have other choices? Okay, so this one is, well, I've had enough. I'm off. If my best isn't good enough, I'm off. I'm going. I've had enough. So you can see that one cup or some of the cups are still standing, which means that they're saying that's enough, but they might be in the kind of feeling of, yeah, but, you know, maybe they might change, or, you know, so it's quite funny that this is what we do in relationships and friendships. That's it, I'm never going to have them back. That's it, I'm done. But later on, do you know what I mean? You then bump into each other, or you start texting again, do you know what I mean? And so, you know, the Eight of Cups, if you get that in a reading, remember that it's not set in stone. This is how it stands now. It doesn't have to be how it will end up, okay? So you have to remember that. Eight of Cups, letting go, walking away. It's my sod you card. I'll sod you. I've had enough, okay? And then 9. 9 is... this is what I was talking about, okay? So 9, reuniting with somebody from your past, okay? So if you imagine, these people are very connected with each other. They know. They're blending rather than it being, they're very much into each other. Does that make sense here? Okay? Whereas the 3 was the theatrical feel. Does that make sense? So that was kind of like a new connection, and this is existing, reuniting, either getting back together with an ex, or it is reuniting with friends or family that you feel very comfortable with, okay, reuniting. The 10 is I'm happy with myself. I don't need anybody else. I'm happy and content with myself. This is where I am now. I'm all right. Having a relationship is a bonus, but it isn't the be and end all. It's not everything to me. I am comfortable with myself, okay? So that's the Ace to 10 in the cups, okay? You've then got your 4 court cards, okay? So your 4 court cards. So can you guys remember what the 3 water signs are? This is like I'm listening and waiting for you to respond, isn't it? But yeah, okay. So I'm going to put this one down. I'll explain why in a minute. The princess of... So the princesses and the page I want you to put to one side, which then leaves the prince, queen, king, or the knight, queen, king, okay? Some of them are knave, I think they are. Yeah, in some of the decks, okay? So, can you see in anywhere there any hint about what the birth signs are? I'm in the way there, sorry. Can you see? Okay, so Scorpio. He's supposed to look like Johnny Depp. He does actually, doesn't he? Johnny Depp, I think. And then the young Elizabeth Taylor, yeah. So the fish, Pisces, and then the crab, Cancerian. So they're all done, aren't they, for you? Again, really simple, okay? They're done. Now, that leaves a spare one, okay? So if you think there are, if there's 4 and there's 4 suits, cups, pentacles, wands and swords. And you've got 4. That's 16 personalities, and there's only 12 astrology signs. This card never has a suit, okay? So the pages and the princesses don't have an astrology sign. I want you to think of these as a teenager or an immature adult, okay? So imagine an immaturity around emotions. My love is so connected. I love so deeply. My hurt is my pain. You know, they're very theatrical. They're very, very emotional. Okay, so it's a teenager when they're first in love. Okay, or an immature person who they're very, very into each other. Okay, intensely into each other. But either really, really happy or really, really sad, just to mean that sort of thing. So you've then described and the Princess of Cups. So imagine that I've got in front of me the Princess of Pentacles. So a teenager with their first wage packet, what are they like? You know, so spend, spend, spend. They just spend their money. A teenager with their first ambition. It's like, I want it, but I'm not going to try for it. Does that make sense? So this is all to do with immaturity. It's not necessarily a teenager, but it's to do with immaturity. And then you've got the Princess of Swords, which is, I've got my first opinion and I'm going to give it to you whether you want it or not. Okay, so you can just, these are easy. Does that make sense? So the princesses, the pages are easy. Once you go young energy, linked with cups, young energy linked with pentacles, young energy. Okay, so that's easy then. Okay, so that leaves your 3. Okay, so we're going to start off. I'm going to give you the basics of astrology. Okay, but only regarding emotions on this one. So Scorpios can be very intense. They can be quite possessive. They can be romantic. Look at the gondola. They can be quite romantic, but they've got a sting in their tail if they feel cornered. Okay. Pisces. I'm a Pisces. Pisces can be flirtatious. I don't know what you're talking about. I never am. They can be bubbly. They can be scatty. Yes, definitely. So they can, if you imagine fish swimming in different directions, they can be changeable. Does that make sense? Changeable. They can be bubbly, okay, in their nature. They can put a mask on to hide what they're really feeling, okay? So you might have upset them, but they'd still carry on and they'd have a word with you later. Does that make sense? So that's kind of what they're like, okay? So yeah, they can be flirtatious, they can be scatty, they can be bubbly, they can be changeable. Pisces. Cancerians, they don't like confrontation, okay? They usually like to walk sideways around situations, sideways. They'll keep an eye on what the situation is in case it gets really out of hand, but they walk sideways around. They've got the pincers, which means they can be protective, and they've got a hard outer shell which protects their vulnerability and their softness. So they're a big softie, really, but they act tough. They act emotionally tough, but really they're a softie. Okay, so hard outer shell, soft inside, bubbly, okay, different, changeable, and wears a mask, and you've got the sting in the tail. Okay, so there's your emotions. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I wanted to keep these kind of little lesson things to about 30 minutes. So I'm going to do, in case you fall asleep, this is, all right? So you can go make a cup of tea and go and find the next one, okay, part 2, okay, where I'm going to do the pentacles, okay? I'll do the pentacles and then we'll see how much more I do, all right? So thank you so much for watching. Excuse me, I am a Pisces, so I'm scatty, I am bubbly, I'm flirtatious, I'm all of those things, but I'm very passionate about what I do, okay, and the tarot. Please come back and please comment below. All right, thanks.